Hi, I'm Johnny Walker.
And I'm Ashley Wilson. Welcome to the special local Derby QTV, which features an exclusive interview with Craig Liddell, Martin Gray and a special guest football hero.
He's played for a top Premier League side. His transfer fees total over £3 million and he scored over 50 goals in just 2 years at Darlow. So, who is he?
Top of the table Pooley and playoff chasing Quakers have been rivals since 1921, when they played their first league fixture against each other.
When the two teams last met in 2005, Hartlepool crushed Darlington 3-1 at Victoria Road in the League Cup, with Michael Proctor grabbing a quick brace in the latter stages in the match. Before that, in 2002, the derby match was held in Darlington, but at the old Feetham's ground, where we witnessed a thrilling 2-all draw.
Hartlepool currently lie top of the table, with Darlington just outside the playoffs in 8th place.
Ron Greener holds the record for the most appearances at Darlington FC, with an amazing 442 games played for the club. For Hartlepool, Watty Moore tops the table with 447 games for the Pools. The all-time leading scorer for Hartlepool was Ken Johnson, who scored 98 goals, and for Darlington, 90 goals were scored by Alan Walsh. The highest ever scoring match between the North East rivals was the 10 goals scored at Feetham's, as Darlington held Hartlepool to a 5-all draw.
You're a mine of information, Johnny. Do you have any more local derby facts and figures for me?
I certainly have. For instance, did you know that the highest attendance at Darlington was in the third round of the League Cup at home to Bolton Wanderers in 1960? Attendance 21,023. Darlow's biggest victory at home was against Lincoln City in 1928, when we won by an incredible 9-2. And Darlow's top scorer in one season was David Brown back in the 1924-25 season, when he put away 39 goals.
Thanks for that, Johnny. And now for that interview we promised. In the studio today we have Eric Walsh, talking to former Darlow heroes Craig Liddell and Martin Gray. And our guest star on the phone is... Over to you, Eric.
Thanks, Ashley. Joining us this morning in the studio over a live phone link is former fans' favourite from both teams, Marco Gabbiadini. But in the interim, we've got Craig Liddell here and Martin Gray talking about their experiences in some of the local derbies that you featured in. Craig and Martin, between you played in around about 12 local derbies. From a player's perspective, do you take on board the fans' feelings when you go into this game? Does it matter as much to you as players or more?
Yeah, I think definitely so. I think obviously we're both from the North East.
Yeah.
I was brought up a Newcastle supporter, so obviously Newcastle and Sunderland derbies, meant a lot to me as a supporter. I think Martin was a Middlesbrough supporter, so he's got obviously Newcastle and Sunderland games to obviously look forward to. So we know the importance of the game, and obviously when you were obviously playing in the game, you're looking forward to it. And then once you got out on the pitch, it was a normal game. But it was still one that you were desperately wanting to win.
Do you feel more nervous, Martin, or is it more determined when you go out for those games?
I think there's a lot more nervous part to that game. I think the build up to is fantastic. Whether you're going on the bus on the way to Hartlepool, I think I always just enjoy that, and always remember getting a bit of stick up from the fans on the way to the ground. And I think it's made the day so much special as you picked the players up on the way to Hartlepool. It was great, and the hype on the bus was different going into any other game of the season. So the build up to it was really, really special.
And of course, the game that most fans will remember you from, Craig, in terms of local derbies, is the playoff game, where you quite quickly quietened the Hartlepool fans down by getting a goal. I mean, the reaction there must have been silence on that occasion.
Yeah, it was. I remember I was obviously on that side of the pitch where their supporters were, and I was getting a bit of stick off their supporters. So obviously when the goal's gone in, obviously my first reaction was to run towards them supporters. Probably wasn't the right thing to do looking back now, but it's a massive adrenaline rush, because I knew how much it meant to everybody at the club, the players and supporters, so it was just a huge relief to score the first goal in such a vital game. So that was sort of cue the celebration.
Yeah. Now earlier in the season, Martin, it was a 0-0 draw.
Yeah.
Both teams now are on the back of a very good run of results. Very evenly matched going into this game, because Hartlepool have had a few stutters in recent games.
Yeah.
How do you feel confidence-wise about the game this weekend?
Yeah, we're very confident, as they will be. I mean, I think they've won 21 games unbeaten. We've won 13 games unbeaten after a dreadful run of losing 8 games. So, both teams have, found some great form going into this game, and the crowd itself, which will be 10,000 sell out, is going to be fantastic on the day. And we're going to the game very confident, but we've got to give Hartlepool a lot of respect. They haven't been at the top of, in the top of the table for the last 4 months for nothing. So, we're not going to go out gung-ho and just expect an easy game. It's going to be very, very tough.
It'd be a wonderful time, though, to bring that run to an end, wouldn't it?
It'd be fantastic, and there'll be no better team to do it against than your local rivals.
Morning, Marco. Thanks very much for joining us from York. In the studio with us this morning, we've got Craig Little and Martin Gray, two of your ex-colleagues, and we're putting together QTV in anticipation of this weekend's local derby, which is obviously important to you in both cases because you play for either club, so you've got experience of being on the other side. But just go through a few experiences with you, Marco. The most notable game you played in obviously was the playoff game where you scored along with Craig, our colleague in the studio this morning. What's your memories of that game?
The away game was an exciting game. I mean, obviously it was a big game for us. We had a bit of disappointment that year actually. We'd been in the top two most of the season until the last couple of weeks, and we ended up in the playoffs after I think we won more games than any other team that season, and we were a bit disappointed. Things didn't quite work out for us. So, and then to get obviously drawn against our local rivals was put a little bit more spice into the affair as well. But we went there, and we'd obviously, because we had a good season on the whole, fairly confident, and we got a great result at their place. And I think we'd had a good result there in the league, and in the season as well. So we were fairly confident, and obviously great atmosphere as we'd had. Any football in the North East, I was lucky enough to play for 3 North East teams, and any football in the North East, especially a fixture of that magnitude, is always a great atmosphere.
Thanks very much, Marco. I'll hand you over to Craig, who'd like to ask a question for you.
Hi Gabbers, how's it going?
How are you, mate?
I'm very well, mate. How are you?
Good. How's them legs? Are you okay?
They're just about bearing out, mate.
Good.
Gabbers, I've got one for you. I'm going to put you right on the spot.
Go on then.
Who do you support on Sunday?
No, that's a tough one, isn't it? No, I think it's a real, for me, it's mixed feelings. I had a great time at Darlington. It was probably one of my most successful times as goal scoring personally. And as a team, we nearly achieved a promotion, which would have been great for the club. Tinged with a little bit of sadness about how things worked out in the end with the powers that be high above the team, the chairman at the time. But I was lucky enough to come back up to the North East, nearly came back to Darlington, but things didn't work out again with the said chairman. But I was lucky enough to go to Hartlepool, and to be honest, that was fantastic for me. It was a breath of fresh air. I'd been at Northampton, which hadn't worked out too well for me, and I went to Hartlepool, and they were a great set of lads, to be fair, as it was at Darlington. They were all really focused and worked really hard as a team, and welcomed me very quickly into the squad. Unfortunately, I only played there for about 6 or 8 months, and finally my knees packed in. So to be honest, I'm actually going to have to sit on the fence for this weekend, because I think all in all, probably if I was going to favour someone, I'd like Darlington to get a result, because I think it would just push them into that playoffs. I think Hartlepool are stuck on for promotion the way that they're going at the moment, and Darlington need the points more than Hartlepool do. But it's been a good year for me this year, because Sunderland and Derby are doing it in the division above, so lots of interest for me this year.
Good answer, mate.
We've got Martin Gray with a question for you now.
Hi Gabs.
Okay. Hi Martin, how are you?
Gabs, I haven't played in all the North East derbies. How do you
Yeah.
compare this one to the Sunderland Newcastle or the Sunderland Middlesbrough one?
Well, I think, if they could get a stadium for 40,000 people, they would probably fill it for a fixture like this. It's the passion's there for these games. As I said, they're not. You remember the season we had, the great season at Darlington where we nearly got promoted, and I think they'd done a special thing with the season tickets. Do you remember? And they were locking people out every home game.
Yeah.
We were getting like 9,000. That was when it wasn't called off half an hour before kick-off. That was. But there's the furthers there in that area, and once the teams are successful. And I played at Hartlepool when they were riding high in the division above, and great crowds and great atmospheres, and both. It's nice as well because Hartlepool's got the old shed at the end there, so they still get a bit of atmosphere in there. I know it's a bit different at Darlington now with the great stadium they've got. Whether I've actually not been there for a first team fixture actually, so I'm not quite sure what the atmosphere is like. Is it going to be a sellout?
Well, the capacity is 10,000 this weekend, and they've sold us 10,000. So yeah,
Right.
so it will be a good atmosphere for.
So that should be good. But
yeah.
no, I mean obviously I'm sure you played in the North East derbies, Sunderland, Newcastle, and the atmosphere in those is obviously electric and to the point of intimidating. But players have got to thrive on that. I used to quite enjoy that, and a bit of sort of rapport with the fans and feeding off that adrenaline, and I think the players have got to enjoy that, and it makes for a better game, as long as obviously the players can control their tempers and things.
That's right, yeah.
One final question from me,
Go on.
Marco, if you don't mind. The question all Darlington fans would want to ask: why did you join Hartlepool?
Purely, obviously at that stage I was going to get to the end of it was going to be the last year or so of my career, and as it turned out to be. And to be honest, when I went to Darlington, obviously the club was still in a bit of turmoil. I know they've heading in the right direction now, but the chairman at the time sort of, there was things said that didn't happen. And to be honest, when I came, I did train with Darlington before going to Hartlepool for a few days, and the squad, I think Martin was there at the time, and it was a very young squad. They didn't really have much experienced players. They didn't really look to have much more ambition of bringing more players in, and to be honest, it was a safer thing financially for me to go to Hartlepool. And of course they were playing in a division higher. I mean, I've always been true to myself. I had the chance to go to Rushden Diamonds when I was at Darlington for more money than I would have done to go to I went to Northampton, because they were playing 2 divisions higher in the I get all these divisions mixed up now, what I'd call the 3rd division, the old 3rd division. But for me, that was always my thing, to try and play at the highest level I could. And Hartlepool were, had just got promotion and were playing in the division above. So for me, that was the most important thing. And they went on to get into the playoffs. So I was playing, I knew I was going to a good club. So although it's difficult, I know fans look at it and think, you've got to have. I played for Darlington and loyalties and things like that. But at the end of the day, I had to think of my family and obviously of the football as well.
Marco Gabbiadini, thank you very much for joining Quaker TV this
Okay,
morning.
no problem.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Martin, Craig, thanks very much for joining us today on Quaker TV.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That's it from us. Have a great Derby day.
And don't forget that after Easter, you can see us regularly on the web at darlingtonfc.com. Just click on QTV. Bye for now. Come on, you Quakers.